You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley. Typically, I start off, ever since I got my last cold in like January or February or whatever, I start off the episode by heaving a big dry cough because I just can't help it. It hasn't gone away yet. It's just still there. So I was about to do
me
that.
right now. I'm like super nasally right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's the season. It's always like, it's never like in the thick of the season for me. It's always like when like the temperature changes. And in Texas, it's like, it goes from being like 40 to like the next day it's 90. And then all of a sudden it's like a tornado. And then it's like back to 90 again. And you're like, what is happening? So then a snowstorm happens.
Armageddon, trees falling, wires popping.
Gosh, so funny.
How is it in California, Meems? Does it do the same thing where you are?
I mean, the weather's always good. Like today is gorgeous outside. It's like in the 70s, and yesterday was 70s, today 70s, I think low 80s. It's supposed to cool down tomorrow, so we're okay with that because we don't like, I mean, where I'm at, we get extreme heat, but I don't know. And we get like spring for like a month. So I'm like savoring it right now.
Yeah. All the spring things. I get it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I lived in California for a little bit. That's where I met my now husband. And
where in California?
I was living in Burbank. I was in the Valley. I used to love, I love the weather of California. Like, I think like the winter is like, rain is basically what happens in the winter, but like being in like being in Burbank was like so like trippy because it was like it'd be 90 degrees and then you're like, oh, let's load up and pack up for a day in the beach, and then you load up your car, you go to the beach, and it's like 60 degrees and you're like, oh, it's a little different than what I thought.
Do you wear blankets? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because it's like so different. But yeah, I don't know, it was I think I remember, I don't know if it's still on, but like Tosh Point Oh had a segment, one of his things, he was like, okay, now let's check the weather for California again. And it was like every single day was a sunshine. He's like, yep, still perfect. Moving on to other things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my gosh, I need that over here. I'm like borderline seasonal depression, like over here. Somebody send help.
You do, please. Because I get that. When we get like 2 or 3 days of rain, I'm like in hell. I'm literally in depressed mode. It's like that.
Sonia, I saw one of our friends, I can't remember who, but on Facebook, because of the eclipse, it was like, oh yeah, it was like Maine finally saw some sun, and they're like, oh yay, the sun is out, and then the moon was like, my beer.
That is exactly what happened. I was editing photos. I was editing photos for a shoot, and all of a sudden everything got dark, and I was like, oh, I should probably be outside watching the eclipse right now. Like, what is happening right now?
Oh, wait, so were you in the totality like line?
I was,
right?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was like, I was kind of like being like a little bit of like a brat about it because I was just like, oh God, like this probably isn't even going to be like that big of a deal. It's all cloudy out. They're not going to see anything. And I thought it was happening like right at noon my time. So like 12 o'clock is here and I'm like, yep, still nothing happening. I knew it. Like NASA's just punking us. Like nothing's happening. And then like all my neighbors like went out. We have a green belt in front of us, like a field. And like my neighbors started going out in the field. It was like 15 after. And I'm just like, okay. And then things did start getting dark and it started looking kind of weird. And I was like, okay, maybe it's a little cool. Like maybe I'll go check. I didn't have the glasses or anything. So I was just like, I was taking my phone and I was like blindly like, super like, okay, let me look up, take a picture, take a video. And I did accidentally look at it, and I remember thinking like, oh, it doesn't hurt because it's like the moon's in front. And then I'm like, well, that's the point. Like, don't look at it because like that's why it's dangerous. Is because it's not. It doesn't hurt your eyes, like, but it's really dangerous. So, but I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. And it got so dark, and like the dogs and like the entire neighborhood were like barking and howling. Somebody like set off fireworks, and I'm just like, man, like, okay, this is cooler than I expected it to be. Literally like 6 minutes, probably.
Wow, that's a long time. Oh my gosh! And then it just like went to normal.
And then it just went back like nothing ever happened. And it was just like, okay, I guess everybody's gonna go back to their day now because it is Monday. So That was cool.
That's cool. Yeah, we didn't get
Yeah.
anything. So.
You didn't get anything?
We did not notice a thing.
Oh my gosh. That is
Yeah,
crazy.
nothing. I mean, I don't know. I was getting my nails done during that time. If they said 11:15, 11:30, and I was
Yeah.
inside getting my nails done, but I looked out and I didn't
Yeah.
see any change. It was still bright. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is so crazy how
Yeah.
everyone gets it so
Neat.
different.
yeah, it's cool.
So on today's HOPEisode, we're going to be hearing Meems' story. I reached out to Meems back in January because on her Instagram page, she shared a post of herself snowboarding with her family to celebrate her. Are you okay if I say your age?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, I know. I mean, you shared it with all your followers, so I guess it's
everyone
totally
knows.
fine. Okay,
my
cool.
life is like so open. So
Yeah, exactly. She's an open book on her Instagram, which is amazing. So she was snowboarding with her family to celebrate her 45th birthday. And I had been following Meems on her page for like on both my personal account and on Geriatric Mama's because she's a mom and I just needed to see all of her content. So I oftentimes share her posts and stories on both personal and on Geriatric Mama's, and I comment a few times because there's just such relatable content on your page, I have to say.
thank you.
But I had no idea that you were a geriatric mama until you posted that, because I'm like, her kids are really young, her kids are really little, she's 45. Okay, wait, we need to get her on this podcast, like stat. And I reached out to you and I was like, she's not gonna get back to me, like she's got too much going on, she's way too busy. And you got back to me and I was just so excited. Both of us are so happy to have you on.
It took me a while, like Sadia, you probably tell her, but it took
was
me
so funny.
so long to realize like what had been trying to tell me for like months now, that like you were going to be like coming on the podcast, because like I've been following you too. We shared like your videos back and forth. We're like, this is hilarious. This woman is so funny. And she's been telling me that you were going to be coming on. She's like, Meems is coming on the podcast. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, oh, look at this video. Look at this video. She's like, yeah, I can't wait to have her on the podcast. I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden one day she said that again. She'd been saying that right along. And then it finally clicked because it was in a text message and I can like see the words in front of me. Like, we are going to have her on. And I was like, hold on. So I call her and I was like, I just want to make sure I'm understanding you. Meems,
Let's
like
clarify.
this woman that I'm watching is going to be on her podcast. And she's like, about time. She's like, I've been waiting for this. Like, I'm glad you're finally with us. And I'm like, holy shit, that's amazing. I got so excited.
I'm excited to be here. I think this is cool. Like I said, this is my first podcast, so I'm excited to be here. Just as much as you guys are excited.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know, we're just like fangirling. Just a
Yeah.
little.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So for our listeners who don't know yet, Meems is a motherhood, lifestyle, and home digital creator. And as you now know, we all follow her on Instagram at Two Littles to Love. So we highly recommend you follow her. Check out all of her awesome reels. I think the latest one that we shared of yours, a couple episodes back, we talked about, hitting curbs. Just like randomly hitting curbs and like, yeah. And then literally right after we got done recording, your reel popped up about hitting curbs. And so we're like, this is too good. This is just too good. Yeah.
This happens too often. It's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
Yeah.
No. I drive the same way, but sometimes it just pops out.
Yeah.
So good.
You know what they say about girls who hit curbs. It's just the pretty ones that hit the curbs. That's all it is.
Is that what they say?
That's
I've never heard that, but I like it.
That's what they say. I actually heard that recently, so I'll have to share that with you guys if I can find it. So we have Meems on because Meems has a HOPEisode. She has a story to share about how she became a geriatric mama. So she's going to take her time and let us know how she became the mom of these two miracle babies that she has.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm so grateful that you guys reached out to me because I wouldn't have even, I never even knew of your, podcast or anything. So I was so excited. But yes, so I'm happy to be here. And so my whole story, let's see, I'm trying to think so I got married late. I was 33 when I got I mean, I guess that's late. I don't know. I feel like that's late, but now,
I mean, I'm
now
feeling a
I
little
feel
attacked.
it's not.
I was 36, so I'm like, well, shit. Then I was a dinosaur when I got married.
I think
Well, I feel like now, I mean,
Mhm.
I feel like now that's like kind of average. I feel like the 30s is average, but like
Mhm.
10 years ago, right?
Right.
I was 33 or 34, one of those. And then, obviously women, biological clocks tick in and it's like, I
Mhm.
got to have a
Mhm.
baby. I don't want to be like this super old mom, which as we know,
Here we are.
here we are. But yeah, and then so we started, we got married and then probably a year later, we were like, all right, let's get on this. Found out we had to do IVF. So we started the whole IVF journey. So that in itself is its whole, beast over
Mhm.
there. And once you've gone through that, you definitely have a different kind of perspective on like
Yeah.
life, right? When you face those struggles and tribulations and stuff like that. And yeah, so we did IVF 34 because I think, yes, because then Everly, my first one, was born when I was 35 in 2015. I think my math is so off. I just
We're not
know,
mathers here.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely not
she
mathers.
was born in 2015. That's all I know.
Mhm.
So obviously I
Yeah.
was pregnant the year prior.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we did IVF, and at the time, our insurance didn't cover it, which in my mind just blows me away. And
It's
we're like,
crazy.
okay, so how much is this girl gonna be? So we paid everything, I mean, it's incredible how much IVF is, and I'm sure now it's even
Mhm.
more. But I did all that, and then we did the whole process, everything. And I was still teaching at the time. So I was a teacher prior to becoming a mom. And I taught for 13 years and trying to teach while going through IVF and, all the shots and everything was like, okay, I could do this. But then once I got pregnant, it was just like a whole, I can't do this. And,
Mhm.
but I did it because, women, we do it all. And then, yeah, so I got pregnant with Everly. And actually, she's a twin. And we had, I want to say we had like 6 embryos total, and only 2 looked good. And so they implanted 2, and both of them stuck. But we found out around 13 weeks that one, twin B, wasn't
Mhm.
going to make it. So we had to, and this kind of is kind of like, I'm just upset with the whole Arizona thing because because I
Mhm.
had to, abort my,
Yeah.
one of the twins.
Right.
And,
Right.
and I think, and I'm like, oh my God, if I could not have done that,
Mhm.
like where would I be? Where
Right.
would Everly be? So I don't know. So now I'm digressing, but yeah,
Yeah.
so everything was healthy.
Mhm.
Everly
Yeah.
came. She was teeny tiny, and she still is teeny tiny. She's my little petite girl. Like my 6-year-old
She's
Cam
so
is
cute.
gonna be taller than her soon,
Mhm.
and she's 9.
Mhm.
So she's
I
my
just
little
want to
petite one.
comment on that too, because it's
Yeah.
like I can imagine. I don't remember what I was watching, or maybe it was. Oh no, it wasn't anything that I was watching. It was it was something that we read that we found on TikTok. But I can imagine that it's like I don't even know the emotions that probably were happening. Where it's like on one hand you're so over the moon happy
Hmm.
that you're pregnant, but you're
Hmm.
still experiencing a loss. Like there's still a loss
Exactly.
there. So it's like I can't even imagine like how, you're
It
literally being
was
pulled in 2 different directions of like
literally,
happy but
and
really sad. Like,
I was in
Mhm.
like hell. I had to take time off work because I just couldn't process, because I was
yeah.
grieving yet elated,
Yeah.
and like going through the
Right.
Right.
procedure, and it was just a
Mhm.
big thing. And finally, I remember like my mom was like, but you can't always be sad because, your baby that's there is gonna feel, because they say babies
Mhm.
feel
Yeah.
all the
Babies
Mhm.
can feel
emotions,
it.
and
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I'm trying, like I'm trying
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
hard. and
Yeah.
and yeah, so it was that year was, I mean, I'm surprised I even finished my year teaching that year, like being pregnant, because I was
Mhm.
going to was it the neonatal specialist? Like I was going back and forth to hospitals left and right because they had to check and, and all this stuff. And like even going through that procedure of like they had to be so precise, right? Because there's two sacks in there, and like I'm like, how are they gonna know which one? And it was just
Right.
big. I mean, I'm just like so grateful, you know, that we have the technology and the know-how, and these doctors are just amazing at what they do. But yeah, so that was definitely, I mean, Ryan and I feel like last year, so Evie turned 8 last year because she's just 9, was the first year I was able to like accept it. And like it took so long for me. I couldn't like even talk about it because it was just like I just didn't want to talk about it, you know? And and it's just, I don't know, like, and I know women go through that, and it's, you know, I'm not the only one. And it's just crazy to think that that happens often actually with IVF twins, you know, like one will survive and one won't. And sometimes it's even, you know, I don't know, I don't want to say worse, but like when they have to like actually deliver, you know, a stillborn or something. And it's just like that in itself. So, and so that kind of goes, because I asked them, I said, well, what's going to happen when I do deliver my, you know, my live baby? And they said, well, there will be like remnant, you know, of the fetus. And so when Everly was born, I mean, I didn't want to see it, but they, you know, I think Ryan saw it. But yeah, so part came out with the placenta and, you know, all that. And so it's just crazy. And then, you know, it was like, okay, now I'm in the thick of newbornhood, right? And can't really like think of anything else with sleep deprivation. And yeah.
You don't really have time to process your emotions or even what just happened in that situation. You know?
Yeah, and that's why it took so long for me to like accept it, you know, and like that is what happened. And because that happened, I have Camden because we always knew we only wanted 2. And if you know, I had both babies, and we wouldn't have even tried again for a, you know, another IVF round. So I see, you know, we were always like, well, you know, always a silver lining. And, you know, and I know many mothers have angel babies. So, you know.
And sorry if I missed this, but how far along were you when you got the news that
well,
one
so
of
that
them
part
didn't
is
make
another
it?
God, that could be like a whole nother story. So what is it called, the CVS or that procedure? I think it's CVS, or maybe I'm thinking of the
Not
pharmacy.
DNC.
Not the DNC, but it's like the C something. But basically, it's a procedure that they can do if you're under 15 weeks, or no, at 15 weeks. And I was at 15 weeks, and it was a Friday that they found out. And, you know, they're closed Saturday and Sunday. And we were like, well, we need to schedule something, because once they said you had reached 16 weeks, which is the week after that Monday, I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I would just have to let the baby just kind of be in there and do what it needs to do on its own. And we're like, we're not. So Ryan was like, oh, hell no, we're not doing that. Like, that's going to be even more traumatic. And so he reached out to, he kind of knows some of the healthcare industry people. And he reached out, and we were able to get an appointment that Monday. And even though it was the 16th, you know, week, my gestational week or whatever was not 16 yet. So they were able to do it. So it was like an emergency, like, okay, we need to get her in. So we went to the specialist, and yeah, it was, I mean, it's crazy because I still remember the smells and the sounds of that room that I was in. And as a mom, you know, when you're going through something so traumatic, it's just like, you will never forget that. But yeah, 13, they say at 13 weeks is when they found out. Then, no, they said I was fine. And then it was like 14, and then they waited. Cause, you know, again, I was a high risk, right? Cause I was, you know, 35 or whatever. And yeah, it happened so quickly, and it had to, because of the timeline. But yeah, after that, cause then, cause they do the amnio at 20, right? Like where they stick the needle in or whatever. So yeah, it had to be before then and all that stuff. Yeah, it was crazy.
And then Everly was okay, but she was
Yep.
measuring small and
Tiny.
yeah.
Yeah, she was teeny tiny because up until, 15, 16 weeks, food was being shared, right? Whatever I was
Yes.
eating being shared by
Yeah.
two. And then
Right.
finally, then after that happened, then she started getting it, but then I just wasn't, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't eating very good or something, but she was born like all natural, and she came at 39 weeks, I want to say. She was 39 weeks. So she was full term, and she was only 5 pounds, 7 ounces. So she was
The little
tiny, like
peanut.
Yeah.
5 pounds,
Oh,
like little tiny little
goodness.
thing. Whereas like Cam was 8 pounds, 2 ounces.
Yeah.
So crazy. So yeah, she was teeny tiny, but at the same time, I didn't know any different because she was my first. So I'm like, oh, all
Right.
babies are this
Right.
small.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are a lot of really small babies, but
Mhm.
I was born like 3 weeks early and I was about the same. My whole family is tiny, so
Yeah.
just tiny.
Yeah,
I
Hayden was
know.
like 7.5 pounds, and I think my
Yeah.
nephew was like around 8, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Those
2
eight
little
pounders,
chunkers.
those
Yeah.
eight pounders, I'm telling you.
Well, poor thing, I saw when I went to go see him in the hospital, I was like, "Oh my god, he's so little." And she's like, "He didn't feel little." It's like, "Oh, sorry."
Oh. Yeah, that's funny. Well, and then so like with her, because she was my first, doctors are all like, oh, she's going to take a while to like, have the baby, after like the contractions and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, again, I don't know what's happening. So we go there. She wanted to come, like Everly, literally, when I went to the hospital, I was at like 5.5 centimeters already. And in 45 minutes, I went to like 9 centimeters.
Oh my
It was like,
gosh.
she was like, I'm done.
Right.
She's
She's like,
like,
I'm
I am
cut.
ready.
I'm on my
Yeah,
way.
I'm good,
See you in
mom.
a minute.
I'm ready to like wreak havoc. So yeah, it was crazy. Like everyone was like, what is like, this is your first baby? I'm like, yeah, it is. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise this is my first.
That's hilarious.
She's like, Mom, you've been through enough. I'm just
Yeah.
going to take care of this for you. I got you.
Oh.
Aw.
So yeah, so that was her story is like so different from Cam's story, and and that's just how it is, right? Every child is
Yeah.
so different.
Right. So was Cam an IVF baby as well?
Yes. So after Evie, we waited 2 years. I was still nursing. I actually nursed Evie for 22 months. And so once I finished nursing, we're like, okay, maybe we need to like start IVF again. Because like I said, we always wanted 2 kids. And so we started again, I think a few months after that, because I wanted to be rid of the nursing hormone or, breastfeeding hormone and just kind of like let my body chill for a couple months, before
Yeah.
injecting myself with drugs again.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so we waited a few months, and then that summer, whatever, we started, and his IVF was fully covered. So like we had a different
good.
insurance carrier at the time because Ryan had switched jobs. And so his was completely covered. We paid, just for like the medicine, like drugs and like, the medicine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it? Like, why was Evie so expensive and nothing was covered? Whereas Cam was, again, totally different experiences. And yeah, and his whole process of IVF was a lot easier for some reason. Well, probably because my body had just gone through it. But then it was harder because I was dealing with my 2-year-old, right? So like my 2-year-old, and I'm trying to do this. And then I got pregnant right away with Cam. And so with Camden, it was a lot more successful of a story because we actually had 4 embryos that were looking really good. And I remember we were in Hawaii when we got the news. We were celebrating Evie's second birthday, actually, or third. I can't remember. We were in Hawaii for some reason, and we got the call saying like, "Oh, you have 4 really good embryos," and we did the whole ICSI testing and all that, so we knew the genders of all of them, and we had 2 boys and 2 girls, and we're like,
Perfect.
oh my God, right? I'm like, but it's like what do we do, right? So like I'm like, oh my God, I can't, how like the first round with Evie, it was like such a stretch to get healthy ones, right? And now at the second we have like 4 healthy babies. Like that's ridiculous. And so we were just like, well, we will just pick one of the boys, because we have a girl. So we'll pick, and we told them just pick one of the healthiest looking boy, right? From what you guys see in the microscope. And so we came back from Hawaii, and then we did the implantation, and everything worked out, and everything was smooth sailing, and everything was good. No issues whatsoever. It was like amazing. And the only thing was, he was stubborn. Camden was stubborn, in that he was like face down the entire time until at 34 weeks he turned, and he lodged his fat head under my liver.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So then the OB's like, I don't know. I mean, we can wait another week and see if he's going to turn around. And I'm like trying to do, on Google, trying to figure out what can I do, sit upside down, whatever, right? Walk like a dog, whatever. I'll do it just to like get him to turn around. And he didn't. So at the next appointment, they're like, well, we can just schedule a C. And I'm like, okay, I'd rather just do that, because I wasn't going to do the whole inversion thing. I know some women do that, but I was watching some videos. I'm like, oh, hell no, I can't. I'm like, no.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
I saw those too.
It's scary.
They are.
So we scheduled to see with him. So he was born at 38 weeks. And like I said, 8 pounds, 2 ounces. Huge baby.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's probably good that you had a C-section.
Well, exactly, right? Like when I had the normal vaginal, with Evie, she was only 5 pounds. It was like, whoop, here she is. She just slipped out. And then, but with Cam, I'm sure, I'm like, maybe that was a blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And isn't it such like a crazy like night and day experience, also going from like natural birth to a planned scheduled C-section? Like my friends, including Sonia, all have these like crazy horrifying stories of like what their day was like when they were going through labor and stuff. And then my cousin and I like had planned C-sections, and we're like, yeah, we woke up, we had like a light breakfast, went in at like 8:30, had a baby in my arms by 10. It was cool.
Yeah, exactly. And
listen to some music.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was crazy. It was like, all right, check in at 6:30 a.m. and all good, no big deal. It was so. But then I have to say though, like for me personally, the recovery of a C-section was worse than vaginal. Like I remember after having Evie, we lived in a townhome, and so we had stairs. And the next, after vaginal, I think I was discharged, a day after? Isn't that how, like, usually you just stay one day and they're like, peace out. So I went home, and my mom was visiting, and I was fine. I was like totally fine. I had like a slight tear. So they did stitch me up a tiny bit, but I was fine walking up and down the stairs, like no big deal. And my mom's just like, what are you doing? You just had a baby. I'm like, yeah, but I'm fine. I'm fine. Whereas with Camden in the C-section, oh God, I was like, I couldn't do a thing for like a week. So I'm like, oh, I wish it would have been reversed, because then at least with my first, then I wouldn't have to take care of another baby with the C-section.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because like Evie wanted to be held, and I'm like, I can't hold you, like baby just needs to be brought to me. I can't be, bending and so it was crazy. It's definitely I mean, great experiences, and I'm fortunate to have experienced both, I'd say. I have an appreciation of both.
Seriously. Seriously.
No, you bring up a really good point. I can't imagine having Annabelle right now and like having a C-section scar. Like I remember like late nights, if like we had a little colic, a little, reflux and stuff with her. So like sitting there with my newborn, and like she would just on occasion lose her entire stomach, and I would be like trying to breastfeed. And so then like I had all of that like all over me, including including my, so I just can only imagine like having that, and then like the possibility of my 2-year-old waking up during all of that, and it's just, that's giving me anxiety just thinking about it.
And
Because
it's
the
like, and
things you don't think
2-year-olds,
about.
it's crazy. And it's like 2-year-olds, at first it was funny when we brought Camden home. She was so like, oh, my baby brother, and then literally probably within 5 days, she's like, no,
Back to me, Mom.
No, why is he here? What about me? And it was a big, that was actually, it's funny, that was when I started Too Littles to Love, because that first year of being a first-time mom, I just didn't know what, I actually didn't even know, I knew about Instagram, but again, I'm like this old lady that I'm like, I'm not cool with the tech and stuff.
You're not an old lady. Sorry, it's funny.
And I didn't have Instagram, and I wish I did, because that, I feel like if I did, I wouldn't have like suffered so much alone as a first-time mom, because I felt so alone. And so once I had Cam and I had a newborn with a 2-year-old, I was losing my shit like every day. And like, I don't even remember how Instagram came upon, how I stumbled upon it. I was probably, I don't even know, I was probably midnight scrolling, 2 a.m. breastfeeding, who knows? But that's when I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just take some cute pictures of my kids. Like, I always loved taking pictures of my kids. And back then, it was just a photo sharing app. And that's how it started. Like, that is how I started my Too Littles to Love.
Yeah.
Because they were my
amazing.
Two Littles to Love.
Right. Right.
So generic.
Yeah. That's so sweet, though.
I know.
I love it. And it goes with your story so well, too. I mean, you always wanted 2 kids. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that, like, I just appreciate that you bring, like, the humor in it, and you, like, literally just, like, call things out. Because, like, that's one thing that, like, Sonia and I that's why we did this podcast, right? We're making fun of the term geriatric mamas. We're making fun of ourselves. We're poking at it. And it's like, you can't take things seriously. Like, there's so much, like, so many, like, moments of motherhood that like people don't talk about, that are just like, are you kidding? Like, what the hell? And so like, I don't know, I just appreciate your content so much, because it's just so relatable and it's hilarious.
Well, and it's like, and I wish I had that to look at when I was a first-time mom, because I thought I was just the crazy one, like, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? Like, why? And had no answers, and doctors didn't tell me anything. And it was like, and then, so once I had Cam, and then I got into like Instagram and just watching other moms and seeing the relatability of everyone's going through shit. It was like, oh, this is normal. Like, I thought there was something wrong with me and my family.
And
that's what's crazy, because like you said, Jessica, it's like no one talks about the shit parts, like no one talks about it. And it's like the majority of motherhood is shit parts, I'd say, and it's like, honestly,
we just block it out. It's like you could have 2 parts of the day that aren't shit and the rest of it's shit. But when you talk about somebody about how the day was, you talk about like the 2 parts that were like great. You're like, well, I'm not going to talk about what happened the entire day, but Hayden did this really cute thing for like 5 seconds, and it was adorable.
In reality, we're just sloughing our way through. We're just sloughing our way through reality. No.
So funny.
We all had this like Instagram picture perfect like idea of what everything was going to be. And I'm the first technically in our friends group to, have a baby. And I swear, like, every picture I'm sending to the girls is basically like Annabelle in a onesie, but I have all these beautiful outfits given to me by friends and family, and I'm just like, it's 100 degrees in Maine for some reason in May, and here's my newborn throwing up all over my incision in a white onesie. Here you go, guys. It's beautiful. It's really great. And meanwhile, Jess is like, you should like do like what you thought motherhood was gonna be, like a really pretty picture, and then what it actually is. And I'm like, yeah, but that would actually take me like putting in this effort in 100 degrees
with that,
to do the what we thought part, right? Because that never happens.
Yeah, I know. I had like visions of like, and it started off that way, and I still try to control it as much as I can, but he's getting at the age where I can't. But I started off where I made sure that all of his toys were aesthetically aesthetically pleasing, like all the
Uh-huh.
neutral, the wooden toys. Like if it's going to be out in the living room, like might as well have it match like my aesthetic. And I don't want it to like be a bunch of like fuckery. Like literally this looks cute, but like this is like what's happening. This is literally what's happening in the corner, right? Like so there's that. So it's like, oh, it's like what I thought. And I picture like just this beautiful, like crystal clean, like all neutral, like room. The toys are on their special little bins. And then it's like, what is actually happening? It's like, okay, well, never mind.
Yeah.
I lost
We
that
have
battle.
no control. No control.
Yeah.
No. My new goal, my next goal is to just get a house where I can have an actual toy room where I can shut the door, because I need to move this stuff to a different place because it's just not happening.
Yeah, the visual clutter is what really messes up for me. Like
it does.
I'm just like it could. Oh yeah, the visual clutter really gets me. So my kids know that, and they can sense it. And I'm like, get rid of it, or I know. You know?
Get rid of it.
Yeah. Like I am planning, Annabelle's 3rd birthday is coming up, and I'm already eyeballing what's going in the dumpster, because I can't even put myself through the emotional like work of figuring out which family member or friend is going to get said used toy that probably needs to go in the dishwasher or something. Like it's going in a trash bin, and it's going in the dumpster.
It's just bye-bye. Like we just don't care anymore at this point. You get to a point where like, no, I don't give a fuck. Like I don't care how much this was. I don't want to see it anymore. I just don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because husbands don't. I feel like husbands don't get that. Like
they don't.
I'm like. Even yesterday, I actually have my car loaded up right now with stuff to donate and clothes, whatever, right? Like old clothes, toys, and he's just like, but we just bought that, and I'm like, I don't care, like it. I don't care. Like,
it has turned into clutter.
Yeah,
it's magically turned itself into clutter. Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't like it anymore.
Right.
Or like I'm just staring at this thing. I just have to show you. So it's like you could like try really hard to have all these nice things, and then your husband comes home from a work trip with this.
Oh. Yeah.
What is that thing?
It's like one of those it's one of those like like those marshmallow whatever.
Yeah, it's like a really soft plushie.
Yeah, it's a pillow, and he loves it. But literally Adam was walking through the airport, like 2 airports, holding this thing. And he was like so proud of it. And he's like, hey, he's gonna love it. And I'm like,
yeah.
He's gonna really
I'm looking all around. I'm like, where in what I'm trying to do here did this fit in? I don't understand. Am I speaking a different language? Like I don't I'm so confused right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is what I have going on.
Oh god, it's so funny.
I feel like I could go on about that for like days. I have so much to share there. But you said you love taking photos. So do you still do all of your photos or most of your photos for your Instagram page?
Yeah. I mean, I don't do as much, right? Because now it's all reels and to be honest, I like it because it's more just normal day-to-day like reality, you know, like we're not all like, I mean, obviously like if I'm shooting for a campaign, I have to somewhat get decent, right? But I just like how it's now trying to be more authentic, you know, and everyone's trying to be more authentic, and I appreciate that more. And yes, and I know like you know, people are like, oh, it's still unrelatable, you know, like there's still influencers out there that are unrelatable, and even though they're showing their normal life, and it's like, well, that's true, but that is their normal life, you know, like it's like you can't knock them because that's their reality, you know. And it's like so everyone has their different normal life, and like I don't know, I appreciate it, and I still take pictures of my kids like when we're on vacation and stuff, but you know, they don't get on my feed, you know, because it's not, it's just not what it is anymore. But yeah, back then, oh my God, I did everything. I did all the photos, all the editing, everything. And like, to me, that was more work than it is now.
It is. It's definitely more work than what people realize. There's a lot.
It really is.
That goes to
and
it.
Like, I mean, just recently I had to do something with the kids, and anytime kids are involved, it's like, oh fuck, you know, like, God damn it, right? It's like, And, they're so used to it because they've been doing this kind of like thing since they were, since Cam was a baby and Evie was 2. So like for them, they're like, okay, mom. But now, because I actually have them as my employees under my business. So they get paid.
Yeah.
So they
That's
actually
cool.
Awesome.
so now they actually enjoy, no, I take it back.
You
They
can
don't
tell.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
But they're more willing because they get paid.
Yes, that's so smart. And does it just go towards like their
So
adult fund?
so they get their like normal, I'll give them like $5 or $10, right? Just immediate, because they need immediate satisfaction,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
Yes.
But
I wish my boss did that for me.
right? There you go. Here's $2,000 immediate satisfaction.
Just for logging on today.
Right. Good job.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So they get paid immediately. So they get to they can either save it or spend it, whatever. It's their money, and, but then they also, like I said, we have them under my business and we write them a check every quarter or whatever,
How
and so
cute.
and so that all gets saved for their retirement, their, whatever. So we just started that last year, and it's been fun. It's been fun, and they enjoy it. They enjoy it, and they, they feel empowered, I guess. Because I feel like
awesome.
now they're at the age where, well, and Evie especially, because she just turned 9. I'm always kind of like, now that she's 9, she's kind of pre-tween and like, okay, do you want to do this with me? If not, it's okay. I always ask her, and she's still very much mama's girl. And like, she wants to do, like, she loves doing dances, silly dances, doing whatever. She loves it. Cam is kind of like, I don't want to, but then I'm like, but then you'll get paid. Like, okay, I'll go get Legos.
I guess I'll do it.
Like, I'll do it for Legos. Anything for Legos.
Yeah, that is
awesome.
so funny. What a cute idea to pay them too.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just because I just feel like before it was a lot easier to pay them with like lollipops, when they were babies and toddlers. Like, oh, you get a lolly, or M&Ms. Now, that wore off.
Yes, it does wear
like,
off.
shoot.
Even when they're 2.5, they
So
still wears off.
And so now I'm like, gosh, I guess it's got to be monetary because they are, and we're trying to teach them like, Ryan's all like Mr. Spreadsheet, right? So he's very much like trying to talk to Camden, like, okay, well, if you have this much, I'm like, oh my God, dude, he's 5 or 6, whatever. Like,
I can see Adam doing that to Hayden. Like, that's so funny. Like strategizing. Now listen, if you do.
And that's what he does. And it's funny because
it's like, so at what point do I get the Legos though? Like when?
Right. It's like
tomorrow?
When do I get this? Okay, Dad, thanks.
And so just for our listeners, a reminder where to find Meems. She is a motherhood, lifestyle, and home digital creator. And we follow her on Instagram, and so can you, at two littles, there's an S in there, to love. So really had to get through that. That was a hard one for me, apparently. I didn't say I had no part this entire time. My one job. There I go.
You should have seen us trying to get through like one sentence in last week's episode. You would think
awful. We had
never
10
done
minutes
it before.
of bloopers that people are probably not going to listen to, but I'm like, we have to put these in here somewhere because it's just so much. And that was cut down from like a half hour of bloopers. Like so much. I'm like, do we have anything to make an episode? Like, this is all shit. Like, trash. This is trash.
What are we doing here? Oh my God.
Yeah. And then there was like some parts that I was like, okay, like this is really funny for like you and me, but I don't know that we should probably put that on the podcast. We're just going to keep it off. So it's like the rated R version.
Yeah.
I went into Podbean and I changed us to explicit. I'm like, let's just, it'll be a good, just in case. Because we say some things sometimes that are a little like, I wouldn't want Hayden hearing that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to change that.
Yeah. No, but I love that on your page you have some like you have some good stuff too. You've got some swearing, you've got some, real mom stuff too. So I know you totally get it. But what was I feel like I was going somewhere with that, but it's fine. I'm
I know you
know.
kind of fell flat on that one. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, I sure did.
Mom
I
fart.
sure
It's a brain
did.
fart.
I was
Yeah.
really
It's a brain
ready for
fart.
something.
Yeah, seriously. I'm just trying not to cough and to stay hydrated because apparently my cold of 3 months has not gone away. So
It's that lingering cough that everyone has.
It's the worst.
yeah. I mean, I feel like when I was a kid, I never had it, but then it's like you enter adulthood and it all changes. So
Well, that's what they say. They say for
Mhm.
like when you get older. So my mother-in-law was telling me, because I was telling her how I like will just drink water and I'm just like choking randomly.
Yes.
And she's like, "Oh yeah, that happens when you get older." I'm like, "Really?"
Mhm.
Because I swear
Why?
that's never happened. She's like, "No, it really does. It's I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is, but I'm just drinking water and all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just
Yeah.
drinking water. Calm
Right.
down." You
Right.
know,
Like,
but
and
they
that
say
every time
that.
that happens to me, my husband looks at me and he's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Babe, you know what just happened. You've been with me for like 13 years. You know.
Right? Like it's not
I'm
a
fine. I
surprise.
just, first of all, focus on my breathing. I need to breathe.
Yeah.
I can't be like answering you right now. Yes, I'm fine."
Right.
I will choke
Yeah.
like on my own spit, like just
Yes.
swallowing wrong and then
Mhm.
start coughing. And
I'm
people are like,
telling you.
what is going
It's
on? I'm like, I'm just
Mhm.
trying to live. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not
We're
working,
just trying
clearly.
to live, but our throat
Just
doesn't
trying
want
to
us
live.
to.
Being choked by
Oh, good.
poltergeists. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Well, Memes, we just want to thank you so much for saying yes to coming on the podcast.
I am so happy I was here. So thank you. I loved meeting both of you. You guys are so fun.
Yes, you're so fun
Thank
too.
And I'm
And
happy that my friends that are following me, I hope everyone can relate and just, understand it's all for fun.
It
Don't take it
is.
so
It's all for
seriously.
fun. Don't take it seriously. Yeah.
Oh
That's
God.
literally what gets me through like the worst of days. Like I'll like relay something to Sonia and I'll be at first like coming in hot, like all angry about like
Mhm.
whatever it is that happened. But then it's like her and I going back and forth about it. And then we find the humor in it. And then we just start
Yes.
laughing about it and then making
Like
fun
what
of
the
it.
fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then it's like I'm leaving that conversation where I started 5 minutes prior so heated
Mhm.
to like be just laughing hysterically. Cause
Yeah.
it's like,
Mhm.
I mean, what else am I gonna do? Right. Like
Well, yeah, and it's the perspective,
so,
Again,
yes.
when you're in it, you're like, all like, what the fuck? And then it's like you
Mhm.
think back and you're like, oh my God, that's so stupid, Or like,
Yes.
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you need that like camaraderie of like, all right,
Mhm.
she's going
Mhm.
through it, then we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
Mhm.
that person for me for sure, whether
That's
she likes it
awesome.
or not, but she gets all my fuckery.
That's awesome. Love it.
Right back at you. Well, to our listeners, thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in next week. Follow, subscribe, rate, and review. Tell a friend. We need your support. All of your support.
We need it all.
All of it, please.
For more info, you can check out our website at www.geriatricmamas.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at geriatric_mamas, on YouTube, Twitter. You have YouTube in here twice.
Oh.
On YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook are also all geriatric mamas.
So follow us on
Just
YouTube.
follow us. Definitely follow us on YouTube. Did you see what happened? So last night I was uploading our bloopers video and I log in and all of our videos were gone.
Oh,
And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, did we just get canceled? We got canceled before we got started? Like, what the hell? We had like over 40 videos in here. What happened? Where is everything? And it was like midnight. So Sonia was in bed and I'm just like, what the hell? And then I noticed at the end it said Geriatric Mamas ST. And I was like, wait. And then I was like, and it was like, oh, here's your other channel. So I didn't realize like Sonia had created another account.
Oh my God.
And so then I found it and I was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, I had a panic
scary.
for a moment.
Yeah.
I was like, luckily I still have all these videos, but it's going to take forever to upload everything. Like I was spiraling.
gosh.
It was really scary.
Oh, God.
I was reading your text messages and I was like going through the spiral and then I was like, oh yeah, no wait, I totally do have another channel in there and that's actually happened to me before. Like I was mid text message message to you. Like, I think our YouTube got deleted, and then
Oh my
realized I was
God.
in the wrong thing. Yeah.
You're like, whoops,
So,
I forgot
right.
I created another one.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God,
Seriously.
we're definitely canceled.
Yeah. Yeah. I should probably delete that because that was an accidental create. Like, I don't know how that happened. It just, it's the geriatric in me that now I need to figure out how I'm going to delete it. So I got to do that. That's on my to-do list.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
So,
Like,
exactly. I'm like, how do I get into this channel that Jessica created? I'm just going to create another one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
pretty much. Right? What
So
password? I
scary.
don't know. I'll just create another password.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Sonia, I might need to, because it asked me to verify because it wasn't you. So I verified it with me with my phone number. So now I might have actually logged you out of that one.
Probably.
That's good. We don't need it anyway.
So, anyway, this is what happens when you have a couple of geriatrics trying to run a podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. Trying to do life here.
Exactly. On that note, if you have a topic idea you'd like to discuss, like a geriatric one, are interested in being a guest, or simply have a funny geriatric story to tell, you can submit your inquiry by going to our website and clicking on Send Us Your Story or Be Our Guest.
I actually forgot we weren't completely done with our outro. It's like, oh shit, there was more. I'm sorry about that. All right. Well, it's been lovely having you. Yes. This is where we say goodbye.
So, we appreciate you so much.
Bye.